Welcome to BBQ Live. I'm Daniel Mosnet with Cowboy Charcoal. We've got a hot one for you today. We're cooking with Cowboy lump charcoal, oak and hickory. We've got some wood chunks that are adding a little bit more smoky flavor. And then we're bringing in some cedar planks. We're gonna do some cedar plank roasted salmon. We're gonna do that 3 different ways. One with a potato hash, a little bit of bacon underneath. We've got an export stout from Pelican Brewing up in Oregon, fantastic little microbrewery. And then we're also doing a little bit of adobo honey with Derek Wolf. So we've got a lot to do here today. Our charcoal is getting nice and hot. You can see that is ready to go. Oak and hickory charcoal from Cowboy, nice and hot. Look at those red coals. I like to get mine started right on top of the grill. Helps clean that off right before you're ready to go. And also, you know, it's important to have a dual zone fire. Having a dual zone fire allows you to pull your food off a little bit, just in case things are getting a little bit too hot, things are starting to burn a little bit. You have another area that's a little bit cooler that you can manage what you're cooking. And we've got a lot to cook on here today. So let's put our other grate on top right after we add some wood chunks. Today we'll add pecan. We'll roast some pecan wood chunks right across the top. That'll also bring up our heat a little bit. And look at the size of these wood chunks. They're little mini logs, you guys. They're great pieces of charcoal once they burn down. Takes them about 10 minutes or so to burn down in the charcoal. Get our pan ready. All right, guys, we're ready. Grills put back together. The nice thing about these ceramic grills, they really hold the heat really well. So once you get your fire going at the temperature that you're comfortable with, you can really set it and forget it. So let's start with getting our pan ripping hot. Okay, while our pan's warming up, you can see that smoke billowing through there from those wood chunks that we just put in. Open up our air. That's the one thing that you've got to really play with, work with it. It takes a lot of time and practice. You got to work at it, but manage your air intake and manage your airflow all the way through your barbecue because it'll affect your temperatures. Every little move that you make will make a different environment inside your grill. So you have to keep your eye on it, okay? All right, while we're waiting for our pan to get hot, we'll get our salmon prepared. And we're working again with these beautiful Verlasso salmon fillets. Look at that. Great color. Man, this is sushi, sashimi grade salmon. Excellent. Okay. Now to cedar plank your salmon, easy thing, just grab your cedar planks. We're using Western brand cedar planks today, and you're gonna wanna soak these. Soak them for at least 2 hours. I put ours in overnight, so they got nice and wet. So we'll take our salmon, measure it out on our board. We're gonna cut this about in half. All right, so now that we've got these cut, about the size of our plank, we're just gonna set them right on. This one's gonna take 2 planks because it's nice and thick. We're gonna just set that right across 2 planks, okay? Which is okay to do if you have a good sized piece of salmon. So let's see if we can get that one there. Might lose part of it here, just square it up. We're gonna cook it just like that, okay? Check on our pan, getting pretty warm. Okay, we've got those 2 ready. Let's get the other ones ready to go. Take our other wood planks right out, okay? And you can really smell the cedar coming off of that. And remember, each one of these pieces of salmon is gonna be a little bit different, right? So they're not all gonna be the same size. This Verlasso salmon is perfect for an easy cedar plank. This is something that you can very simply do when you come home from work. So simple. All right. Kind of square this up on the plank a little bit, and that'll be ready for our seasoning. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing with the underside as I did before, just so it sits nice and evenly, looks nice and square as we're cooking it. 1 and 2, perfect pieces. Okay. It looks like we're smoking on our cast iron pan back here, so let's get our hash going, because that's gonna take a few minutes to cook. So, simple steps for our hash. We wanna add a little bit of oil to help this bacon start to render. Oh yeah, that's hot. You can see that's hot. We got our oil going in the pan. This is the nice thing about having 2 zones, right? So once this starts to cook, and it's gonna cook fast. Once that starts to cook, you can just pull it off into the other zone. Let your bacon cook up a little bit. To the bacon, and this hash is so easy. This is an easy breakfast hash. You can put this under salmon, you can put this under any kind of white fish, or you can just cut some eggs with it if you want. Okay? So get our bacon rendered. I'm not gonna lie, guys, that's hot. This oak and hickory, when you're burning oak and hickory lump charcoal, you can easily expect to reach temperatures about 600 degrees. So you wanna make sure you keep your eyes on what you're cooking, especially if you're over direct heat, okay? We got our bacon going. We're gonna add some onions. Let those go for a little while. Smells fantastic already. Once our onions start to turn just a little translucent, just starting to get soft, we're gonna add our potatoes. Now our potatoes I cut on a medium small dice. You can make them chunky, you can make them bigger, you can get the small baby potatoes and just cut them in half. Guys, this doesn't have to be hard. Add your potatoes right to it. Stir that up a little bit. Always make sure you salt all the way through. You don't want to just add salt right at the end. You don't want to add salt just at the beginning. You want to make sure you salt and pepper all the way through your cooking process. Okay? So, that looks great already. That's our hash. Simple as that. So now as that starts cooking, we're just going to move this over. And I want to get some smoke flavor in this hash. So we're just gonna close the lid, let that cook and smoke just for a little while, okay? Now, clean us up here a little bit. Now for our salmon, we're gonna fix our salmon a couple of ways, okay? First thing we're gonna do with our salmon, and sometimes you wanna do this a little bit earlier, but we're gonna add Derek Wolf's adobo honey right to the top. Kind of let that sit and caramelize just a little bit. We're gonna add a bourbon honey reduction right on the top of this, okay? So that we're just gonna let sit just like that. The next one, we're gonna add, let's get our bourbon reduction right on top of that, okay? I'm just gonna add it right on top. The longer you let that sit, the easier it's gonna be to absorb through the salmon. The next plank that we're gonna put together here is gonna be a honey jalapeno lemon, right? So we're gonna add our honey right to the top, because we like that sweet and we like the heat. We like both of them together. Just a little bit of honey right on top. Again, when you're working with excellent ingredients like this Verlasso salmon, you don't really need to do a lot to it, okay? You don't need to do much. And we're just gonna coat the top of it just so it helps our ingredients stick, okay? That's it. Now we're gonna add our jalapenos, as many as you want. If you like jalapenos, if you like it spicy, go ahead and add as many as you like. Okay? That's there. And then to the top of that, we're just gonna put some lemon slices right on the top. Slice these nice and thin. And we'll add a couple more. Doesn't that look beautiful already? We haven't even started cooking it yet. Okay, the next one we're gonna do just an olive oil, salt, and pepper, because this is the one that's gonna go with the planks, with the potato hash and the Tsunami Stout Gastrique. So just a little bit of olive oil right on the top, just to help the salt and pepper stick. Right, just a little bit of olive oil. And a little bit of salt. Try to get it nice and high. The higher you get your salt when you're putting it on, the more evenly you're gonna coat your food. If you try to put the salt on right here, you're only gonna season that spot. If you get up here and season your salt, or season with your salt, you're gonna season the whole piece of meat or protein, whatever you're cooking. A little bit more pepper, I think. And that's it. Now to this, if you want to add some lemons on top, you want to add some sliced onions on top, any of those things you want to do, that's fine. Let's check out, see how our hash is doing. See, we closed the top of the lid here and it really brought our fire down. Now you can see our fire starting to pick up a little bit. We're adding more oxygen to the charcoal, right? So that's gonna be perfect, right? As soon as we're done with our planks. So we'll get that set off to the side. Now, to put your planks on, it's really hard, guys. You just grab your planks, just like that. You're gonna put it right on top, right on the grill. I'm not sure we're gonna have enough room here for everything. We'll grab our other two planks. Move this off to the side just a little. Grab our other two planks. See if we can squeeze those in there. A little bit of a tight fit, but plenty of room for everybody. Okay. Now these are gonna cook for about 15 minutes or so. You can see our bacon is cooking pretty nicely. It's in a little bit of a cooler spot. I parboiled the potatoes just so they'd be a little bit easier to cook out here, but these potatoes are so small that they won't take more than 10 or 15 minutes to cook. As long as you keep them in the pot. All right, so I'll let those go. Now, a couple of the other little tricks that we're gonna do for this recipe once we get our spot cleared up here. We're gonna show you how to make that Tsunami Stout Gastrique. That's famous up in Oregon. So Tsunami Stout, this is an export stout. It's really a thick style. It's really a thick style stout. This is what we're gonna make out of it. You can see in here, it's a nice thick syrup, okay? And it's really, when somebody says a gastrique, it's really simple. It's really simple to make your gastrique. We're gonna add 2 cups, roughly, of our Tsunami Stout, right? And then we're just gonna reduce it. Add a few more ingredients. We're gonna add some sherry vinegar. If you don't have sherry vinegar at home, you can use apple cider vinegar. We're gonna add our sherry vinegar, and it'll bubble up. So you gotta be careful of how you make, how you pour that in, because it'll bubble up on you pretty quick. Then we're gonna add one of my little tricks here, Mike's Hot Honey. We're gonna make this a little bit spicy. We're gonna add about a cup of Mike's Hot Honey right to the top. Mike's Hot Honey is not a secret anymore, but it's a all natural honey with chilies. Tastes great. You can put that on pizza, you can put it on your salmon, you can put it on your salads, anything that you like a little sweet heat to, go find that Mike's Hot Honey. It's really good. That's your tip for the day. All right, let's see how we're doing here. If we can stir this up. Our potatoes are getting pretty close. We might bring those back. I want to add a little bit more smoke flavor to this salmon, so I think I'm going to take our potatoes off the grill just for a few minutes. They're pretty much done. Let's make sure they're done. Oh yeah, those are good. Need a little bit more salt. And then we'll take those off and let those sit right on the side just for a few minutes. We might put them right back over the hottest part of the fire right before we're ready to plate this. And we're gonna get these pieces of salmon rocking and rolling. You can smell that cedar already. All right, I'm gonna put my gloves on here, guys, and move these around a little bit so we can have enough room on the grill here. Really get these cooking. They don't take too long. And once we cover the top, they're really gonna start going. Okay, now that our gastrique liquid is all put together, and remember, it was just honey, Mike's Hot Honey, our Tsunami Stout, and apple cider vinegar, sherry vinegar, whatever you like. We just take that and we're gonna reduce it by a little more than half. And that's just putting it right on the grill. I have made some already, which is right here, and we're gonna use that after because I'm running tight on grill space here. Let's check our salmon. Oh, look at that. That's looking fantastic. See how the boards are starting to char? If the fire comes up and gets around the side of the salmon a little bit, guys, that's fine. It's no problem. We're cooking a little bit faster on the left side here than we are on the right side, so we'll probably want to flip-flop those a little bit. I think we'll do that right now. You're gonna get some char on the other side. Give ourselves a little bit of room. Yeah, I'm gonna completely change spots with this. Move it all the way over. And put the second one over. Right there, so this one can get nice and charred. Okay. Boy, it smells so good. I can't wait to dig into these. I don't know which one I'm gonna start with. Oh. Okay, so those are gonna go just for a few more minutes. If you want, we can take our bourbon and honey glaze and just kind of go right over the top of that one more time. Never have too much bourbon, you guys. Whether that's for the glaze or for yourself. Okay, so we're gonna let that cook a few more minutes. We're gonna need to put our hash on right before we finish as well. So, gastrique, you guys know how to do that. Really simple. Just reduce the stout. And we'll save that for the end. I got our plating board. I like to plate things just simply, right? Just simply right on the board, family style, nice and easy. Smell all that smoke flavor. You know, these pecan chunks, I'm a little bit, I like pecan chunks quite a bit, but for this recipe, you can use cherry chunks, you can use mesquite. You're really getting a lot of that wood flavor from the cedar planks. So the type of chunks that you use is really up to you. You don't have to use them if you don't want. You could just go with a Cowboy oak and hickory charcoal. So you're gonna get that oak smoke, that oak flavor, and the hickory flavor as well. Let's check these out. See, when we add that bourbon glaze, you can see the smoke coming off there. That's right off the plank. But when you add that bourbon glaze, you're getting all of the caramelization right around the outside. These are done here. Let's take these out and rest them. Now, I told you before, I like my salmon, especially this quality, I like mine a little medium rare. That's kind of hot. That's all right. We're gonna just warm up that potato hash a little bit. We're gonna put this, we'll put that straight down, and then we'll add our salmon right to the top of it. It's always a dance when you're barbecuing and you're doing a few different items. It's always a dance of what you can put where and how much room you have and what plates where. There we go. Hit that right over the hot spot so we can get that cooking. There we go. Move that in. Be careful with that sugar. That sugar gets hot. You don't want that to touch your skin because it'll burn you. I think we're about done here. So overall, all of this was relatively simple, right? Just olive oil, salt, and pepper onto our salmon here. We've got jalapeno, lemon, and a little bit of adobo honey from Derek Wolf, and a little bit of that bourbon glaze right on the top. We can add a little bit more of that bourbon glaze right now. We'll close that off for just a few more minutes. Get some more of that smoke to roll through there. Our coals are nice and hot. We used about 4 to 6 pounds of oak and hickory charcoal. And these are the chunks that we used. We used our Cowboy pecan chunks. And this is all completely dried, so you get the perfect use every time. You can see the size of the chunks are relatively consistent. They're all about the same length. Some are a little thicker than others, but you've got a nice balance. When you use pecan, you've got a nice balance of smooth, smoke, flavor. When you use cherry, when you use apple, you're gonna get flavors that are a little bit more fruity. Cherry's great because you get a little bit of that color imparted in your food as well. And I can hear the sizzle. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. I think we're done with this one here. And put that lemon back on top. Get this guy back onto his board. This one's a thicker piece here, so it's gonna take a little bit longer. Might have to have that one a little bit later. Our potato hash is frying up. Now you can take these as far as you want. If you want crusty, crispy potatoes, you just let this cook a little bit longer. You let that bacon grease kind of crust those potatoes over. If you don't want that crust, you can just take them out whenever they're soft. If you parboil these potatoes inside for about 10 minutes, this process will go a lot faster. Okay. We're gonna add our potatoes. Remember, family style as much as possible. Family style. We're just gonna add our potatoes right to the top of the board here. We're gonna take one of our pieces of salmon from that side while this one's cooking. We're gonna take our salmon, we're gonna lay it right across the top. Right across the top. We're gonna take our gastrique. We're gonna add that right over, just a nice little drizzle right over the top. You can take this down to as thick of a syrup as you like. And there it is. You've got 3 different styles of salmon. See how this guy's doing? Yeah, we're about done here. You got 3 beautiful pieces of salmon there. This is really simple, very easy to put together. Only takes a few minutes. You can go as simple as olive oil, salt, and pepper. You can do a little bit more with some spices and bourbon reduction, and then you can get fancy if you want, and you can use a little bit of this gastrique. I'm gonna taste it here, see how we did. That's outstanding. Taste those potatoes. Ah, with that tsunami streak, it's awesome. Fantastic. You got 3 different styles of cedar plank salmon. Enjoy. Daniel Maznet with Cowboy Charcoal. We'll see you next week.